Johnell, did I write your number down wrong in my phone, or did you text me? It was like Johnell Ludren or Lundgren.
I don't know. I think you wrote it down wrong.
Oh, okay. My wife asked me that the other day. Because she was calling you, and she said, I go, call Johnell Ward. She did. It was your phone number. I go, no, call that one. And they go, that's not his last name.
Lutheran?
No, I don't know what it was. So I can show it to you later. We got my friend, and he's BCHS athletic director. Is that vice president position over there?
It is.
Right
Yeah.
on. So you're more important. I need to be more careful with this now.
Vice president of athletics, yes. Yeah.
Blake Van Der Schaaf.
Schaaf. Yes.
Does it look like scoff?
It does.
Yes.
A lot of people say Schaaf,
Okay.
but it's Schaaf. It's Dutch.
Okay.
100% Dutch.
Right on.
Yeah, so.
That's that saying. Remember that saying, if you're not Dutch, you're not much?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So John and Elle, we have something to come up to. Now, Blake, I love my friend Blake over there. Has got a great job. BCHS done a great job. We are so glad you tuned in. And as you've tuned in, we're not too proud to say like us, share us. Mr. Producer, we're up to how many followers now? I like to put
gosh, we're at like 3,400.
3,400. Show the audience what you're consuming over there. So yeah, he's got some Christmas cookies right there. I like that. So we're up to how much? How many? 3,400.
Yeah, 3,400.
Right on. I love that. So keep liking us, sharing us. We're taking you on a journey. This show's all about telling stories.
Yes,
as far as people's stories. Johnell Ward is sitting in the co-host seat.
I am.
A little more pressure today, Johnell?
A little bit. A little bit. You know.
We've had Johnell twice on the show, and Kicks for Kids is doing well.
It is. Some great things are coming.
Yeah, they are.
Really, really great things are coming. And I'm excited about today and hearing Blake's story.
Yeah.
Because it kind of overlaps, some of the things we do. Yeah. Some of the kids he actually has at his school. So
yeah, you've had interaction with them through the Kicks for Kids program. Yep. I love collaboration because I think the kingdom of God always works in a collaboration.
Yes.
He uses people in young children's lives and move them on into the high school area, and it's almost like you pass them on to capable hands. And I'm a BCHS proponent. I mean, I love what you guys do over there too. My girls are your guys' product, and there was a best decision my wife and I continue to say to this day. So as you're out there, you can send in questions on our Facebook page at The Real Lunch Break. My producer, Mike Harvey, came up with that, and it rolls off my tongue really good, makes it sound official. Also on Instagram at The Real Lunch Break. So just go on and ask us any of the questions. And I think, as you know, that we have our Lucky's Rescue. They're always there for you and the community. And I think Mike Harvey is going to kind of share with what we have.
Yeah. So where is the information here? All right. So we have Hannah. You caught me off guard there again, Tom.
Well, Mike, I don't know if I'm catching you off guard or you're just not on guard.
I think it's the latter.
94-year-old Anatolian Shepherd Lab mix. She is extremely shy. She was found as a stray. So we have no clue what this poor girl went through before she came to us. So, that's all about Hannah.
And if you want to, you go on out to Lucky's Rescue, and I know we have a website out there, and you can press adopt to get in contact with Anna. Was that who they first come in contact with, Mike? Anna?
Actually, I believe it is a girl by the name of Kelly. I spoke to Anna, and there was another girl, and I'll get this right and put it on the screen and post, but it'll be, I think it's Kelly. Okay, perfect. We just want to make sure we can find homes. I know John and Meredith do a really good job. They work hard out there, and they rescue dogs, cats, and some horses. So I know Mike's going to go out there with some camera and film gear, and we're going to be able to see it in action. Yeah, sometime after the first year.
I like that. Awesome. There again, we were thankful to Mike and Nathaniel and Dominic. They're running our tech crew today, and I have Andrew Castaneda in audience. So I like it. So Johnell.
Yeah. So at this point, I was actually in your seat, and the big question that we always ask people in the seat is, what is something people do not know about you?
Nothing dark and deep,
I have extreme fear of flying.
Oh,
extreme fear, like to the point where, like, my family and I go on road trips, and we will drive.
Like John Madden, huh?
Yes. So if we go to Florida, or I'm originally from Iowa. I was born and raised in the state of Iowa.
I didn't know that.
So
right?
we will drive 26 hours. So my wife's, I mean, we've done it probably 4 or 5 times. My wife just can't stand it. But
oh man,
what part of it does she like? Because that's my wife and I. My wife yesterday said we talked about things, and she wants to take a trip across the United States in an RV.
Yeah.
For her, that's a dream. For me, it's a nightmare.
it sounds like one for me.
and
too.
cause I feel like I'm gonna get stuck driving the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll be back there playing games and making sure I have water and coffee.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I've always said that, and she goes, no, because you know Danny Jimenez.
Yeah.
You know, she goes, Danny will drive, and I go, have we talked to Danny about this yet?
Yeah.
My daughter's fiance.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I don't mind driving. I'll drive 24 hours straight. I'd rather do that than get on an airplane.
So was there a previous incident that caused that?
I don't think so. I just, when I was playing college basketball, we flew.
I was going to ask that because Iowa.
Yeah, we flew a lot, and I took, I wouldn't sleep maybe the night before, just I'd sleep on the plane, and I'm not a big fan.
Was it a white knuckle type flight? Taking off
Any
and
turbulence, and then you watch something like We Are Marshall or something like that before you go in. I would.
You know that's happening to you.
Yeah.
I don't denounce that because those fears are real.
Yeah.
You know, they are, and so I wouldn't know that about you. So have you overcome it, or you're still just saying I'm going to drive?
I've tried to overcome it, but we still drive.
Yeah,
we still drive everywhere we go.
Yeah. Well, hey, there again, I mean, one of the things that I think is positive about things that you guys go through out there is it's real.
Yes, it is.
Last year, Blake, I think I've talked to you about that. I had a heart issue last year, and I ended up with anxiety. And never had it in my life, and it was real. And overcoming it was one of the things that helped me help others overcome it. So
yeah.
So.
I think I was in that seat when I talked a little bit about like getting hit with depression, and that kid laid. So I had to go sign up kids to receive these shoes. And this one kid is bad. The kid hits me every time, but I show up to the house and the dad's like, he's been waiting for you. I'm like, please don't have water. I have my MacBook with me, right? And he said, no, I want to show you something. He runs back there and he comes back and he's like straight A student. And he's like, we did it. I'm like, what? But it broke the spell. So,
You had something to fellowship in.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's some of the things. I think the power of Christ is giving us a way to fellowship in that. Blake, I know some things about you, but one of the things that we do here is just talk about life.
Yeah.
Iowa. I didn't know that. Iowa.
Yeah, born and raised in Sioux Center, Iowa, Dutch Reformed community. I grew up in the church. My family, baptized in the church as an infant, and I lived in Iowa until my dad went to college late. He was the first college graduate in his family, 7 brothers and sisters.
That's impressive.
And they owned a dairy. They were dairy farmers. And he said, you know what? It's 20 below zero. I don't want to do this no more. I want to do something else. So he went to the Iowa State University when he was in his mid-30s. So I was in 5th or 6th grade, somewhere around there. And Iowa State University is a big basketball, and their football program's been great lately too, but big basketball program. And I was a ball boy actually for Iowa State University.
Oh, wow.
So we used to do, that's kind of what my love for athletics started. Being in Iowa and in this cold weather times, where all you can do is go inside. You can't do nothing when it's cold. But so we, born and raised there. And then my dad graduated from Iowa State in the ag industry, and Central Valley, California,
not
obviously.
A better place.
And he got a job. We actually moved up to the Ripon area when I was in junior high. Ripon, Modesto area. And then when I got to high school, I started my high school career at CVC in Visalia. And, played basketball, baseball there. And my love for sports never wavered.
Diminished.
Never diminished.
Blake, what's interesting is your dad going back to school in life. Did that lay a foundation for you? Did that, what's your family dynamics like? Brothers, sisters?
I have one younger brother. my parents lost 2 kids before me, so I was their miracle baby, I guess they could say. But yeah, they lost 2 kids before me. My brother, he lives in Phoenix, Arizona now. He's in the ag industry. But my dad going to school, first undergrad, and I'm actually the first. I got my graduate degree. I was the first one in our family to get a graduate degree in the extended family.
I love that.
So that kind of stuff. I mean, he was always big into, you know, he just said he knew the way the world was moving. You know, things are now an undergraduate degree is not good enough. Now you need the graduate degree, and then you need a doctorate, and then you need this, you need that. So yeah, he kind of got it started, and it's been amazing to see. When we go back to Iowa and talk with our family members, it's just an amazing thing to go back.
Are you guys now the only dairy members of the family? Non-dairy?
Non-dairy, yes, we are. My dad's brothers have farms. They raise calves, you know, that type of thing, and back in Iowa, so they do all that. My dad now actually just moved back to Iowa, to where he was born and raised. So it's kind of went full circle for him.
I love it.
But it's yeah.
So you went on to college, and I just found out Concordia University, Irvine.
That was my graduate degree. I was at CBC. I played 3 years of college basketball. I played at Reedley College for 2 years, and then went out to play at the University of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And then I didn't finish my degree, so I went back to Fresno State, got my undergrad at Fresno State in kinesiology, and then I was teaching PE and coaching basketball at CVC, Central Valley Christian in Visalia. And yeah, I was like, you know what? My athletic director at the time, I kind of just liked what he did. I love being around sports, and I thought, you know what? I won't mind doing that. And I figured that a graduate degree is the best way to go. So Concordia Irvine had a great program for sports administration, and I was teaching health class and coaching basketball, and I had my second daughter at the time, and I was driving down there once a week and doing online classes, and it was pretty crazy, but it took me 2 years and got that done. And you know, it was an interesting time. My mother at the time, she was her late 40s. She got diagnosed with cancer. So appendix cancer, really random. Like it was 2% at the time, 2% chance of getting that kind of cancer. And I was kind of in the stage of, should I get my graduate degree? Should we stay in Visalia? Should I do what I'm doing? And I had an old lady come in. I was in a clinic teaching, talking to her about diabetes. So she's probably mid to late 80s. Just telling her what to eat, you know, exercise, that type of thing. And she comes to me and she says, "Hey, the Lord's got a plan for your life."
Ooh.
And this isn't a Christian. This is a nonprofit clinic that we're at. I mean, you don't really talk about religion or Jesus when you're in those clinics. And she comes in and she says, "God's got a plan for your life." And she says, "You know, you're doing a good job, but God thinks you can do better. He's got great plans for you."
She just came out boldly.
I just sat her down in front of me, just like this, and I didn't even get to start my, you know, nutrition plan for her. It was, you know, God's got a plan for you, and it was really interesting. And she said, "I know." Then she goes into, "I know your family's having a tough time right now with my mom with cancer," and
did she have any knowledge of that?
No.
So kind of prophetic.
Just kind of prophetic, and my mom was and she was stage 4 at the time, so she was dying. She was kind of at the end when this lady came into the clinic, and right away I called my mom and my dad, and my mom goes, "I've been praying because she was worried. You know, she had one grandkid, second was on the way. She was dying, and she worried about her family.
Yeah,
and she said that gave her some peace before she died, and she died 2 months later after that, and probably a year later ended up here in Bakersfield as the AD at BCHS. So it was...
Blake, let me ask you a question. How did you receive that? I know you were excited because you called your mom and dad.
Yeah.
Did it catch you off guard? Where did it catch you with your faith?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the church. My wife did not grow up in the church, so we were going to church, and we were... You know, and it's just a different, you go from a Dutch, I don't know, pretty conservative Dutch Reform churches to we're doing non-denominational with my wife. And you know, I'd never seen like a prophetic message or, you know, like a live miracle where you're like, oh, this, you know, you hear about these things.
Especially happening to you.
Yeah. None of that kind of stuff
in
had
that
happened.
type of setting.
And
You know?
and it's an 80-year-old woman, and she's dying of diabetes. I mean, you wouldn't think she'd talk about that. And it just changed. I went home to my wife too, and I said, I think I met an angel, like one of those type of things where you're just like, it kind of caught me off guard. And then when I told my parents, it just, for them, just to hear that, my mom just, you know, it was amazing for her at the time. And I just, the peace that came over her for that. So.
And as a parent now, you probably understand that a little more, don't you?
Yeah.
Being a parent isn't, if your parents out there or your children, parents have a very big responsibility. And you don't get that until you become a parent and you start appreciating your parents more, right?
And it doesn't matter what age you are.
It doesn't.
I mean, I was early 30s, I think, at the time. And, you know, still the loss of my mom's been 12 years now. It still affects me. It's amazing. It doesn't, it never changes.
You know, as you go through that, and I think as we all sit here, I know Johnell's lost both his parents. I lost both mine. You got your father still in Iowa. It is. I mean, my brother and I think it was, we were both Christians as my father passed first and my mother second. We looked at each other and we're like, you know, we're left now. You know, my brother and I had this saying, we're like, we got to grow up now. We don't have parents anymore. We're adults on this earth. And I think, you know,
that early.
Huh?
Yeah, you did. Learn that early.
Yeah, you did. So I love that God had a timely moment for you.
Yeah. And it's, you talked earlier about, you had a heart issue, and I had kind of at the same time, I had a heart issue, electrical issue.
I didn't know that.
So that it was kind of crazy. I mean, I had that going on, and I mean, I played college basketball, high school forever, and then I was playing pickup basketball in the gym just with a bunch of guys, and my heart wouldn't stop racing. I couldn't stop.
It's a hard thing to say because it just starts up and it just never comes back down.
Did you have the same type of?
No, I actually had a valve that would stick.
Okay.
And my heart would beat quicker. It's called an MVP, mitral valve prolapse. And it would beat quickly to try to get it to shut because the blood's just continually going out. So it would speed up to do that. So now I'm on heart medication, which actually slows my heart down.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and I had electrical issue, kind of the same thing, and had to have surgery on that. And then, you know, my mom was dying, and my wife was 8 months pregnant, I think, at the time, and it just.
Do you have nothing but daughters?
I have a son. I actually have a son. He's a freshman at BCHS this year.
Okay.
And then I got two daughters. I got a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. So
I have one daughter, and it terrifies me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I always tell Johnell, you'll make it.
Yeah.
Because I'm there with the boys looking.
Oh.
I always tell Johnell, I go, it's okay. You'll make it. It's fine. It just keeps you on your knees.
It doesn't.
And having a freshman at BCHS, does he play sports?
He's a basketball and football player.
All right.
So yeah, he went up for our playoff run. As a JV player, went up for the playoffs.
Okay.
You know, so he didn't play, but he got to practice with him during the playoffs. Got the experience, so it's pretty cool. It's actually, you know, this is my 10th year here now. And seeing all the time you put in, and then seeing your son actually there doing it, it's just it's an amazing feeling. I really love it. Yeah, it's
with that, because you guys had an amazing season.
You did,
amazing season. But leading up to the playoffs, to that big game, how do you get your coach back? Because I heard after the game, after that horrible call, that even Coach Darren wasn't even like himself. He just told the kids, like, just get on the bus. Like, it wasn't even a real talk or nothing. Like, the kids saw that. So it was like, how do you get the coach back into the game?
Yeah, and it was a tough. I mean, the CIF, California Interscholastic Federation, changed the playoff seedings this year. For the first time, we did a little something different. So when the playoffs started, we're kind of like, man, we shouldn't have been that seed. Yeah, we gotta. So we were on the road for all but one game, and we were kind of calling ourselves Road Warriors, and we were the 7th seed, and then we get to that game, and see, I'm a CVC alum, so I tell those guys, I tell all the coaching staff, this is this is I think their 6th year now with them. I said, you can't lose a CVC. You just don't lose to them.
No,
That cannot happen. We might have to have a talk.
Rival.
We might have to have a talk if we lose to these guys. And and we lost to them the beginning of the year. We lost them the first game of the year over there, and we didn't play real well. And so we go into this game, and we had a kid got his finger taken off.
Yes.
We had an owl that flew over from their side to our side and dropped a dead bird on our sideline. So
I never heard that yet.
I didn't hear that one either.
Flies over. It's probably it's probably late third quarter, and there's an owl that just drops a bird right in our sideline, like right by our players on the bench.
What do we take?
Hey.
How do you take that?
Bad omen or something.
That's what I was thinking. I didn't want to say it, but
it's 2 Christian schools, so what do you know?
Yeah.
You're thinking
God's with one of us.
He's got to be with one of us. So fingers falling off. We got birds dropping all over the place, and then
you guys are getting to play.
It was bad. And we came from behind. We were down 14 in the fourth quarter. We came from behind. We had this crazy 2-point conversion that gave us a lead with 1 point with under a minute left, and then we dealt with some clock issues from their side, and then an interception that looked like an interception. But that stuff happens. It's part of sports, and it's just crushing for a kid. You're trying to tell these, especially the seniors, they don't get that.
They don't get it back.
They're not going to get it back.
Yeah.
And you don't know any program if you're ever going to be there again. So it was hard, and I've never seen our coaching staff that low. But it wasn't really about them. It was just about the hurt they felt for the seniors,
for the kids. Yeah,
for those kids.
I understand because I know Darren a little bit, and I know his heart's for those kids.
Yep.
It is. You know one thing that I appreciate about what you do, Blake, is that you guys maintain a rigorous process, and you guys do get great coaches.
Yes.
You do.
Yep.
And you get men that want to see, and women who want to see kids grow in their faith also. And I've witnessed this personally. And does that process start with you and end with you, or how does that happen, and how do you get those?
That's the first of all, they have to have a passion and love for the sport and a love for God. So if they don't have that, usually they're not going to make the process anyway of being a coach at BCHS. And they got to understand that, that's the key thing here. And I would kind of piggybacking off what you said. I think all our programs, if you asked our parents or kids, they would say that their love for Christ shows in their practices, in their games. And then if they're not on campus, which can be more difficult for walk-on coaches, is they see it in their life. On social media is so huge right now.
Yes.
Having to have talk with coaches about you got to be careful what you post.
Yes.
You got to be careful anything you do social media wise. But I think number one, they got to have the passion for God, passion for their sport, and a passion for kids. And if they don't have those things, BCHS probably isn't the place for you.
Yeah, that's good. That sounds amazing because you guys are producing like really great, not just athletes but students. Like there's kids coming out of there going to Stanford and a lot of D1 schools, right? And it's split between academics and sports.
Yep.
Most of the students there are like triathletes at that, so they're playing multiple sports. No, man, it's
and they come, and everyone thinks because it's a Christian high school. I mean, we don't have elementary, junior high. It's just the high school, and everyone thinks, well, they're all Christian families. We don't have all Christian families. We don't have kids that come with mom and dad. They're broken homes. They've never heard.
Yeah.
They've never prayed with anybody. So these coaches sometimes are the only ones.
I agree.
That make an effort in their lives to bring Christ to their life. So that's.
And the impact a coach can have.
It's
and I
huge.
think that's what you see. And I've heard that's what you bring. And that's what I've always been proud of you, Blake, is because you do put those things forward first. They do. I mean, because we know it's hard to live the life, and you're out there listening, we know it's hard to live the life as a Christian because sometimes you feel like you're in a microscope. Then you come to a Christian school. Yeah. And everybody thinks all the kids have halos, and all the teachers have halos, reading their Bibles, singing, worship songs all the time, and they just realize they're normal people, normal kids. They get caught up into things. You have coaches and family problems, health problems, and you're there. And I think this is probably a good word is you're there. And I know John Bateau, kind of helped that as a family.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
teachers, staff.
That's everyone's human.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the problem. And we tell, not a problem, but we tell our kids and our coaches, you're always you're under the microscope all the time.
Yes.
You're in leagues with all public schools. This interaction you have in this game might be the only interaction those kids get with a Christian. And if you don't do everything the right way, it's a lot of pressure on those kids. Like you can't drop profanity.
Nope.
You can't. You have to have good body language.
Nope.
You got to
turn the cheek on the
You got
field.
to turn the cheek a little bit, but you don't. You're not soft either.
No. Yeah.
You can't be soft, but it's you're standing up for what you believe. And
My son comes back because he plays anything on the line, and he's like, the ref can't hear us. Right? I'm like, JJ, no. Like you are the only person that they're gonna see.
Yeah.
Like you just got to embody what a real athlete looks like with God.
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So,
And you can be godly and be a good athlete.
You can.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think that.
And excel at what you're doing.
Yes.
That's why I always tell my girls, I go, winning's not a bad thing. I look in the Bible, God's a winner. I look in the Bible, Jesus is,
Yeah.
So I just said, you can come at what you do and be very excellent at it. It's the way you win. It's the way you portray yourself.
Yeah.
And I think what you guys have is you have people, because I just saw it in my girls' sport in tennis, that when Frank was there, he expected the kids to be respectful to other players, expect them to respect the game, the coaches, the other coaches, and so that was things that were instilled in them. And a lot of times they, when the other teams weren't up to that standard, the coaches were like, well, that's not what we do.
That's not what. Yeah, that's not what we're about. Yeah, and you have a legend like Frank Thiessen as your coach too. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, miss that guy every day.
Well, and you guys, I think you produce a lot of those coaches. I know as your teams come through the ranks now, there isn't any school in town that doesn't respect you guys.
Yeah, and
They all respect you guys. They all know that when BCHS comes to the court, the playing field,
It's gonna be a dogfight.
Yeah, it's not it's not an easy W. That,
Yeah.
And I think sometimes a secular school will think that.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's we just always believe if you do things the right way, God's going to bless that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what He's done with our school in the last 5-6 years. We're growing. We're moving leagues. I mean, we're playing teams. All teams. I mean, there was a time when I first started, Bakersfield public schools would not play us in anything.
Yeah.
So now we're to the point where we're in a league with them and able to play them on a weekly basis. So it's God's blessing what we're doing right now, and it's a lot of hard work and praising God.
Even in the athletic meetings, when you go to them, you're representing the school and Christ.
Yes.
And that becomes difficult, doesn't it?
Well, it is. It's really interesting because I'm on the executive board for CIF, and I'm the only one from a private school that's on it. And it's really interesting to see. They kind of think, well, yeah, they don't know your enrollment a lot of times. So they're like, oh yeah, you have 200 kids. What do you know about any?
What do you know about?
We got 3,000 kids. What do you know about parent issues? What do you know about? And I kind of push back with them, and I got the same issues as they do. Our enrollment's not 300; it's 650. So we're getting there, and we're playing schools just like you, and we're beating you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, but you got to do it in a nice way.
Yes, you do.
But
you're expected to do it in a nice way.
Yeah.
And it is. But I think the biggest honor I get is when I'm talking to a fellow AD and they'll drop some F-bomb and then right away they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So there's just respect there still, but they understand that they can't act probably the way they want to around me. But that's all right. That's part of it.
I like the fact that you're on the executive board of CIF because that is something that needs representation of a school. And I do know because my wife's a superintendent of a public school, so I do know that the Christians are out there. But when you're coming there and you get in that position, that's I believe that God uses people in those giftings.
Yeah, and it's. Private schools need some kind of say in some of these things. So and I'm glad that for the CIF they're starting to see that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because the private schools get a bad rap, I think, because I'm not gonna down in LA they just do things different. Southern section, Bay Area, and then so schools like private schools like us and Garces, we get thrown into that sometimes.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to tell them, hey, we don't do it like the
Yeah.
schools down there. You know, we're not going to go to every school and try to get all your athletes.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works.
You
So,
get lumped into the Mater Dei.
Yeah.
You get lumped into the De La
De La
Salle.
St.
You know.
John Bosco.
Yeah.
You know, I know when my daughter was coaching for Orange Lutheran, they played in the Trinity League.
Yeah.
And so you had this, when people look at them, and it was a private Lutheran school, they would just kind of discount them until they found out it was a Trinity League.
Yeah.
And then it was like a whole different level, but they still had to have that element of respect, demand excellence from their players, but also the AD and their staff. They're required the coaches to behave and excel at what they were teaching kids and interacting with parents. I never forget when Taylor had her first interaction with the parent, and something happened with the team, and she had to address it. And she came and said, how would you do this? And I told her I would do it this way, but I'm not you.
Yeah.
Because you're the coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to do it. And she did it, and she walked through it, and it's all learning lessons. I like that. So, Blake, is there anything that maybe we didn't get a chance to ask you that you want to leave our audience with? You honestly, see, Blake, I've learned a lot about you. I didn't know that your mother had passed. Didn't know you were from Iowa and that you're
Played basketball.
Yeah, and that and your parents were in ag, because I was in ag before I went in the ministry.
Okay.
And so, and then to find out, I really loved your father's story about going back to school. And determining this isn't what I wanted for my family, and was willing to move them. That's a lot of there's a lot of process in that, and I know you have respect for him, and it's comforting to see you leading your family in that same way.
Yeah,
Getting an education when things weren't going well for you.
Yeah, I know it was a tough time, but to see God push us through that, and just being, having 2 daughters and a son now. I mean, I think like all of us, our families are so important to us, and just being able to be, I just love that I'm able to do something that I can go to work. My son might not like it, because my wife actually works at the school too. So she's a study hall teacher at the school. So my son isn't real thrilled about that, because he sees us on campus, and he gets that freshman thing where, if we come around the corner, he's got to walk the other way, type thing. But just being around him, and my daughter's a 7th grader, so she'll be there in a couple of years, and just God's really blessed our family to, my wife and I have the same interests, my kids have the same interests. Being an athletic director can get pretty timely. I mean, there's long hours, there's a lot of nights.
There is.
But having my family that loves sports, being able to come enjoy and being at the games with me, so I actually can see them a little bit during the week, makes it fantastic. But
you get to blend the career and a little bit of the family with that.
Yeah, and I thank God every day for what he's done in my life and what he's done for my family. So, and
what you've been able to help BCHS do for our community.
And yeah,
a decade being at that school, you've actually been able to be an element or a resource of change in people's lives, kids, families.
It's an amazing, seeing kids come back.
I know. We have Nathaniel. Nathaniel's one of your cross-country runners. Nathaniel, you've got a question, I think, coming in.
There we go. I don't really think I have a question. I would just like to say thank you, though, because I know a lot of the coaches that you put into BCHS when I was there, man, they were awesome coaches. Like, they were some really neat people that you picked out, especially my cross-country coach. I remember when you brought him in as
go give him a shout out, Nathaniel.
Jordan Point.
Jordan Point, yeah.
Man, he's one of my role models.
Yeah.
And I remember you bringing him in and introducing us to him, and he just kind of really just, and I don't know, you both just started on. It was just really neat, and the way he was able to help all of us through everything, it was just neat.
Yeah, and he was a young kid at the time, and I always tell the coaches too. I don't care what I started coaching when I was 19, so age isn't a thing to me. As long as you have a passion for what you do, and you can teach kids, you can coach. And now I'm getting to the point now where we're getting some alumni coming. We have an alumni coaching our cross country team now, and we got it's amazing to see. I love that part of it.
Yes,
bringing alumni back to coach at the school, taking just what you said. He helped you through when you were running cross country, that's amazing. I love those stories.
Sounds like Nathaniel, he helped you more than cross country. He helped you with life.
He really did.
Yeah.
The sportsmanship of it all, and through all that, because I've seen a lot of hard times with the sports program, but Blake was always there too to help bring us all up, and especially when promoting the sports and everything. I just remember seeing him come around and be like, "We got this, we're good." And
it's good to have proof positive products.
Yes.
That feed back in.
Well, especially from cross country, because running isn't for everybody.
No,
Especially when it's 110 in August, when you're.
What's crazy is, and I've only seen this in cross country, is where no matter what school you're from, no matter where you're at, everyone works together. If I had another runner from a totally different school, maybe a different state, and one of us fell down or we're running, he would come by, pick us up, say, "Hey man, you got this. Just work on this," and then run away. everyone
I want to beat you.
I love it.
Together.
I love that. Thank you, Nathaniel Tweed. Thank you. Blake, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I
really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Want to thank our audience for tuning in, and just want to say a big thank you and shout out to you guys. So tune in next week. And other than that, God bless.
See you.